Welcome, amazing investors, realtors from across the country. Today is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019, and this is role play call number 41. We got a great attendance. When we first started doing these, I think, we were lucky to have 5 or 10 people show up. Now we have just about as many as the mastermind call on Thursday. So we're glad you're here. If you just came to listen, that's fine, but we would prefer that you participate. And if you would like to actively participate, just hit *6 and then hit 1. I always say on these calls, if you haven't been on one before, it's a little different. Our mastermind call is just an open forum. Anything goes. If at all possible, we prefer to keep this one in the form of a role play, so you can actively practice and listen to situations in your conversations with the executors and even the attorneys where you're getting stuck. That's kind of the purpose of this call. So if at all possible, let's keep it in the form of a role play. Like Jeopardy, it's got to be in the form of a question. And Chad, anything you want to say before we get started? We've got 2 in the queue.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't been on one of these calls, this is, as Jim said, number 41. So we have about 40 hours of archived role play. And if you're a subscriber, you can jump up to education and training conference call archive, and you can have we do this call the first Wednesday of every month. If you're not a subscriber, the public way to get to it, actually the easiest way to get to all of our content on alltheleads.com, in the top right you'll see a universal search bar. And you can type in role play and bring up everything, or you could type in specific objections like we've got it handled, or things like that. So if you ever leave these calls with your questions unanswered, or you wish that something would have been covered but you didn't take the chance to step up, just know that everything we do is recorded and archived and is searchable using that search bar. So, and even if it's between calls, if you need to hear a role play or something, you got stuck on the phones, be sure and use that resource that's there. I mean, we've got hours and hours of these conversations. So, and sometimes we'll defer to that because in the interest of time, we try to pack as much as we can into an hour. So if you get pointed to that, don't feel like it's because your question's not important. It's just that we know we've covered that and we can point you back there. So that's all. Let's go to the lines.
Awesome. Well, we got going on 100 people on the call, so we should have some great participation. First up this week is phone number ending in 5000. You're up first.
My name is Al. I'm new to this, and I've done probate and whatever before, but question would be, what's a great approach to call when someone answers, other than what the script is, but just something that's more comfortable that you think works best?
Okay. You want Chad to call you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Chad, give him a call.
All right. What was your name?
My name is Al.
Al. So ring ring.
Hello?
Hi, I'm trying to reach Al.
Yeah, this is Al.
Hey Al, this is Chad Corbett. I sent you a letter last week, and I had a few minutes to follow up with some folks, and just wanted to make sure you got it and you understood why we sent it. It would have been in like an ivory greeting card envelope. You remember seeing that?
I really didn't pay much attention. What's this in regards to?
Okay, well, fair enough. I'm glad I caught you. So the reason I'm calling, we've got a team of folks here locally that have been put together just to help families going through probate. And we find that if we reach out early, we can help the families more and usually take most of the stress away from the situation. So as part of that, our team goes to the courthouse every 30 days, and we noticed that you were an executor. So I'm just reaching out to see if there's any way we might be able to help. And that really starts with just a brief conversation so we can understand what your challenges are and who on our team might be able to step in and help you out. What's been the toughest thing for you so far? If you could get rid of one thing, get it off your plate, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm just kind of surprised you guys are calling me. I'm getting calls from other people, and I'm just kind of surprised people are getting my information here. You said you got it from the court?
Yeah. So when you filed probate, obviously that's public record, and we've helped so many families. We know that I would rather have my outreach be misperceived than not do it. So because I know that when we do, with the families we have worked with, we've been able to see how much of a difference we can make, because it's taken us years to put together our dream team of we can help you with anything, any problem that you have. We probably have a solution and have helped other families. So rather than you struggling through that on your own, we kind of reach out and, quite frankly, proudly offer to do it for you. So it's probably a different phone call than others you've had, but with an open mind, most people find that they're actually shocked that there's somebody in the community that will kind of have a solution for everything in one place.
Yeah, I've been getting calls and letters and stuff like that, and I'm just, I'm just making sure that I'm talking to the right people and whatnot. But I already have an attorney handling it.
Okay, cool. Well, a lot of folks think that the attorney is going to do a lot more early in the process, more than they actually will. So think of our service as, 25% of the responsibility is legal, and 75% is not legal. So that 75% is what's on your plate, and our service is really created to wrap around what the attorney does. So we consider the probate attorney a member of our team, and we're just going to bridge the gap between everything he won't, everything you have to do and what he's not going to be able to help you with. And our service kind of plugs right in the middle. And honestly, Al, like some families we may help, we may only refer you to a roofer to patch a leaky roof, or to a moving company or something like that. Others, the biggest challenge for most families is real estate, because they have to sell the real estate in order to settle the liabilities and distribute to family members. So, we go as far as to completely flipping houses and maximizing the equity that's available to the family, so you can settle those liabilities and pay for college for the next generation or whatever that might be. Like I said, everyone's a little bit different. We like to start with an initial conversation to understand your situation and kind of what your goals are. We'll make some suggestions, and if you think that we can help you, then we'll move forward, and if not, no harm, no foul. So I've got one spot on Friday at 3, if that would be a good time to sit down and discuss it. Would that work for you?
Yeah, he did mention, and I appreciate the information, but he did mention that he already had a realtor that can help us, that he's going to connect us with.
Okay. Well, there's probably 50 different things that we do to help families, and brokerage is one of them. We'll certainly talk about that. But what challenges do you guys have? If you could use some help, where would that be? Would it be with the real estate, or with personal property, or with stock portfolios? Where could you use help?
Yeah, we definitely need to sell the property. My siblings, and I'd have to discuss with my siblings. So yeah, let me discuss. What was your name again?
My name's Chad.
Chad, and what company are you from?
We'll have a few. I'm just Chad until we figure out how I'm going to help, and then we'll decide from there. But
okay.
I've got my own real estate team, and we have an investment company and property management and everything.
All right, let me discuss this with my siblings, and I'll get back to you. I just don't feel comfortable setting up an appointment with someone until I get more information and discuss it with my siblings. Even though I'm the personal representative, I do need to contact them first.
Fair enough. Well, I'll probably talk to another 20 or so people today. So I'll go ahead and pencil in the spot on Friday at 3 o'clock, unless I hear back from you. Otherwise, I'll assume that we'll try to hit that appointment. You said you have other siblings. Like, who do you feel like should be part of the conversation?
I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay.
And
is everybody here in town, or?
Yeah, one of them is here in town. The other 2 are out of state.
Okay. Well, that's common in a lot of our initial meetings. We'll set up a conference line, or sometimes with more tech savvy folks, we can even do like a video conference where everybody can be on the same page. And that's important to us because we know that we can easily worsen your situation by making somebody feel left out. So we've done this enough and helped enough people. We know that we want to include everybody. So Let's leave it at this. I'll give you that spot because that's the only one we have for the next week or so. And then I'll follow up with you maybe in the next day or two after you've had a chance to talk with them. Is that fair?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Okay. And so we usually do a couple of hours of homework, but so we just, like I said, we provide options, and oftentimes that's a pretty broad range of services. So have you got just another few minutes to answer a few questions about the real estate?
Sure.
All right, great. And I'll break there. So I guess what I want to underscore in that is the tentative appointment. You were pretty tough on me, and some people are, but you also gave me permission to ask you more questions. So I'm going to get away from that uncomfortable micro commitment that I drug you into. And over the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about the real estate. I'm going to get you to tell me stories, and I'm going to focus 100% on you and get you to tell me stories and we'll, hopefully get you to laugh and get you where you do trust me. And you came out and said, I don't really trust you and I don't want to give you the appointment. Most people won't say that. Their ego won't let them say that. They'll come up with some BS excuse like, oh, well, I got a this or I got a that. But it happens, and it's good for everybody to note, like, you came out and said it, it's easier to address that. But when they're giving you an objection of, well, I've got to go talk to my wife, or why don't you wait until we're having a yard sale next weekend, they're giving you excuses because you're trying to get them out of their comfort zone, and they're not quite ready to do that yet. But if you show strong leadership, they'll come willingly once they do trust you. So go for the tentative appointment, and then transition the conversation like kind of a mental reset and shift into the real estate gear. Start talking about bedrooms, baths, year built, condition, get them to tell you stories about the house. And then at each step of the way, you're finding ways to layer in value. For example, when you're talking about personal property, you can use stories or examples. Talk about how your estate sale company can do a tag sale, an auction sale. Sometimes they show up and write a check. It's really whatever's easiest for the family. And just layer in value and tell stories. By the end of that, if he does meet with the other real estate agent that the attorney was referring him to, it's going to be a stark contrast because they're not going to be as thorough. They're not going to be offering a broad solution. They're going to be focused just on the real estate, where we're focused on the people in this conversation. And you really don't have any competition. If they give you that time on the phone, you've insulated yourself against all competition.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So I'm used to prospecting expires and off the market property. First have owners, and I'm used to attorneys feeding me these leads that they've already sold them on me. So my phone call to these personal representatives is usually, let me look at the house and let's get it listed. That's just that easy for me. So.
Right.
Yeah, I'm used
and
to
I'll caution you, like a lot of top prospectors in FSBO and expired really struggle in the beginning because you're so matter of fact and go right for the real estate. And what happens in probate, because they are getting pressure now, there's other people in the mailbox and other people calling. If you sound like everyone else, you're going to get the same treatment as everyone else. You get the door slammed in your face. So slow it down a little bit.
That's what I was trying to say is you're right, because calling in expired, they get a lot of realtors calling when they first come off the market. But if you're going to start talking about real estate on a probate deal, it's just a different style. It is uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, it's just 23 years of doing this. It's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah, but the first time you do it right, then it becomes fun and easy. So you just have to figure out what that means for you. Like, what is the right way for Al? And trust me, like I was embarrassed. I was sheepish. I had marble mouth on my first 10 appointments. I wasn't worth a damn at this, but I paid attention to how I was saying things. I always challenged myself to ask better questions to get better answers and better engagement. And you might fall on your face a few times, but it won't take long. Like, and when you get it right and you get the reward of, like, you can build rapport in a couple of minutes. These people think you're the greatest business professional they've ever met. And then when you actually meet them in person and they see it's real and they really trust you, I guess every phone call gives you a little bit more confidence. So don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, no, I don't. Trust me. 23 years ago, I wasn't the greatest prospector. I can
Right.
handle off-market, expired, and for sub owner like no tomorrow now because I've been doing it for so long. But now, and look, I'm cool with messing up and screwing up and saying the wrong words and learning what to say, what not to say. Especially, I'm calling off of Vulcan 7, so my calls are being recorded, so I can re-listen to them and critique them also.
Yeah. So
Excellent. That was. I was going to say that was very. Go ahead, Chet. Finish. I'm sorry.
We've done that, like that initial conversation role play dozens of times. So if you go to the search bar on all the leads and put in initial conversation, you can hear, I probably have never done it the same way twice. I try to, read the tone of the conversation, the energy, the person. So it's not going to be the same every time, but it might be helpful for you to go back and listen to a couple versions of that we've done over the last few months. And that'll help you kind of settle in on language you're comfortable with.
And you said that's on the dashboard on, where do I find those?
There's a search bar in the top right. Just put in initial conversation, and it should bring up several results.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Al, I was going to say you did a great, that just seemed very natural. It really seemed like real-life conversation, and you did a good job of coming up with 2 or 3 very common excuses before you told them the truth. Yeah, my attorney, that's a really normal conversation. I mean, and so good role play. We appreciate you participating. Good job. That's all I wanted to say. All right. Well, we only have one more person in the queue, guys. We got over 100 people on the call. We have one more in the queue, and we've got a good 40 minutes. So don't be shy. Jump in, hit *6 and hit 1, and you can be up next. For now, phone number ending in 0982, you're up next.
Hi, this is Shauna, and yes, the intro call was really what I wanted, so I'm going to listen to this again, and I appreciate it. I think what you were mentioning is when you were talking about how we're different from other people that they're going to speak about, and you started making a tag sale, an option sale, could you go further into that? Would you mind?
Yeah, so I was just pulling an example. So as you progress through the conversation, so for anybody who hasn't downloaded this, in step 3 of the fast track training, when you first logged in the subscriber portal, our basic training, after the video plays, the downloads will show up below it. And there's a PDF called the Probate Seller Interview Sheet. And that's really your conversation framework. And I've been very deliberate in getting that in the right order. And until I got it in the right order, conversations were never this smooth. So you'll see that once I get the appointment and I've earned the right to talk about real estate, then I'll move into, we talk about the house or the property. Once we have talked about the property, we talk about the personal property. Once we've cleared that, then we talk about the financial situation, whether they want to put money into the home to get more equity. And then there's like an insulation clause that I kind of wrap it all up with. So as you're going through that, you can pull stories and examples of how you've used your estate sale company, how they do business, like how creative they are, or how you've used a senior moving company or a social worker, or anyone from your team. As you just kind of layer those stories and services in, so they start to understand. Because we have them drinking from a fire hose. We're offering so much that they didn't expect. Those stories, it just kind of helps them digest it. And Jim, I've got somebody at my door. I'm going to go on mute for just a second, if you can.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, no problem. I was going to expand on that a little bit. We had someone on, it was a conference call, probably one of our regular mastermind calls. It was probably almost a year ago, and we just thought it was so creative, but the estate had been settled over a year ago by the time the people got in touch with them, and what was stopping them was the property was in, I don't remember, it was in Florida, and all of the heirs were in Iowa, and they all had busy lives. They had a house full of stuff, and none of them had been able to come down and go through it all. And the agent had a great estate sale company, and what the agent actually did was he said, let me go through the house. I'll videotape everything in the house, room by room. You guys tell me what you want, and we'll lock it in the garage or we'll lock it in the closet. And then my estate sale company will come out. Anything valuable, they will buy. Anything that doesn't have big value, they'll do a yard sale, like a garage sale, and we'll completely liquidate everything for you. That we find if there's one thing that gets them in the real estate quicksand, it's the personal property. I remember another story where the guy had a house full of Lionel trains, those old antique trains, and the trains were worth more than the house was. It was a $50,000 house. Well, this guy had an estate sale company that had a buyer for those. So once he solved that problem, the rest of it was relatively easy. And it used to be, I think you were kind of asking about the mechanics of an estate sale company, how it works. Was that your question?
I guess so, because he was talking specifics. He was talking about a tag sale, an option sale, and I wasn't really clear on an option sale.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm back, Jim.
Yeah.
I thought you were. I took that as a broader question.
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
So with some estate sale companies offer multiple options, and I usually try to leave it up to, once they come and appraise the property, they look at what's there. I like to hear their opinion. So some companies would rather do like a Friday to Sunday sale where they tag everything, so everything's given a price, prior to Friday morning at 7 o'clock, and then each day, like on Friday, it's full price. Saturday, it's discounted 50%. Sunday, it's discounted 75%, and then what's left over gets donated or trashed. Other companies will just set up an auction, and they'll do a one-day auction where they liquidate everything: vehicles, real estate, everything. And then others will just come and write you a check, and they have warehouse space, and they have ads on Craigslist, and they have their own distribution channels set up to get rid of that personal property. So in some cases, it's just easier for the family to take a single check and not lift a finger. They don't have to worry about it. Other times, if it's more important to get the most amount of money versus do it in the shortest amount of time, then usually an auction is the best format. And then so it really depends on your client's goals, but also how the estate sale company is used to doing business. And I just use that as one example of one thing that most people are concerned with or already struggling with is the personal property. So you can use stories, and if you don't have stories yet, if you haven't done this, you can be hypothetical. You can kind of walk them through and say, well, for instance, our estate sale company can do, and explain it to them the way I just did, that even within that one little bit of the conversation, you're giving them multiple options. And most people probably aren't doing that. So it's going to show really well if they do talk to somebody else.
And we have no one else in the queue.
You said option. I was thinking you said option instead of auction, so that's where I was getting confused.
Gotcha. We have no one else in the queue, guys. Come on, step up, hit *6 and hit 1. While we're waiting, this is supposed to be a role play call, but she reminded me of another good benefit of the estate sale company. We had someone come on our call probably 6 months or so ago, and one of our people asked on the mastermind call, they asked, should my estate sale company is having a yard sale this weekend, should I attend? And we said, you're licensed, the estate sale company's licensed, bonded, you probably have better things to do. And one of our subscribers jumped in and said, you might want to rethink that. My estate sale company did a yard sale last weekend. I stood in the front yard, I met all the neighbors, and I listed 3 of their properties. So, was it 5, Chad? I know it was a bunch of them. Yeah. Because you think about it, like when you take a listing, you door knock the homes in the neighborhood, just listed, just sold. Well, you could stand in the front yard and have everybody come to you, and most of them have probably never seen a realtor do that before. So I just thought that was a really smart way to maximize the exposure that you're getting in the neighborhood. And a lot of our subscribers tell us that one of the side benefits of doing probate, it gets them in neighborhoods where maybe they didn't have a listing before, and they get a few more, and pretty much, they're the neighborhood expert that just started with one deal. I know our friend Roger Lacey's real good with that. So anyway, I filled enough time. We have 3 more in the queue. So thank you all of you that jumped in. Anything you want to add, Chad?
No, let's go to the line.
All right, we got 4 in the queue now. See, we go from feast to from famine to feast. Next up is phone number ending in 6913. You're up next.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Brett out of Ellington, Florida. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for participating.
Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate all the value you guys are adding. So I'm extremely new to the probate side of the business, and my question is, and forgive me if I missed the queue on the questions. I don't know if this is open question time or not, but my question is as a new person, I want to be able to offer the various areas of value that I can add to individuals going through probate, but because I don't have any past experience, what would be the best approach to be able to present those various services to those individuals needing them?
So this is a common, I guess, apprehension that I hear from folks that are just getting started. And the challenge always issue is if you had a $1 million listing, which was you knew it would sell in a day with multiple offers, and you would have a $30,000 commission check. But before you upload into MLS, you have to have an estate sale company, a contractor, a clean-out crew, a stager, a photographer, a senior moving company. How long would it take you to build that team and meet those people?
Give me about 48 hours.
Yeah. So the point there is don't overthink it, and don't think that you have to have everything in place before you start. As long as you know with confidence that you can get that in place and you can offer that as a legitimate service, you can talk about it. So you know that if you had to have an estate sale company, you would find the right one today. And you know that even if you've never dealt with a senior moving company, you're in Florida, they're everywhere, you know you can find one. And, a contractor is the hardest one right now because they're so backed up. But even if you have to sit in the portico at Home Depot handing out free breakfast or lunch, you can meet a contractor today if you really need to. So don't let that hold you back, and certainly don't let it, just be confident that you can offer this. And I'll say this too, like if you ever get stuck, like if your confidence got you painted into a corner and you can't find the right person, we've got your back. Like we have some national people that we can refer to, but I've yet to find a market where I can't find a vendor for somebody. So if you ever just like, if your back's against the wall and you're like, I need an estate sale company like yesterday, we can usually help you with that. And in Probate Mastery, I give you multiple places where you can find these. Like for example, an estate sale company, there's 2 national directories. One is estatesales.net and the other is estatesales.com. And I always forget one bought the other. There's .net, .com, and .org. And one of them is a redirect because they bought the other company. But what you'll find there is both of those directories have about 20,000 estate sale companies nationwide. So on there you'll see they have featured listings. So they'll be like gold, silver, bronze. And that means they're paying, they're kind of like the Zillow premier agent. Like they've paid to be ranked higher in the directory. So you can use resources like that to quickly, aggregate what you're looking for. And like you can use findlaw.com to find family law attorneys. You can use FINRA Broker Check. I think it's FINRA.brokercheck.org is a list of every financial professional in the country that's licensed. So there are these national resources you can use to very quickly, narrow the list to start prospecting for your partners. But don't let it stop you from getting started. Just know that everything we teach, everything you hear everyone talk about on these calls is no more than a day or two from being in your business when you need it to be.
As far as clean out crews, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, they're all over the country. Contractors, the best place probably just ask around your office, especially people that work with investors or someone in your office that has flipped property. They'll have a title company is a great source for a lot of these people, especially we got our contractor that when we flip houses 10 years ago from our title company, and had nothing but great things to say, and he's been amazing. So, and like Chad said, All right, you're very welcome. We have three more. You're very welcome. We have three more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 3137. You're up next.
Hi, everybody. This is David from McMinnville, Oregon.
Hey,
my
David.
question was partly answered by the last caller, but I guess it becomes, once I do find estate sales companies, do I just put them in touch with the people, or am I there through the whole process of negotiating with the estate sale company and all of that?
All right, so we're going to turn this one into a roll.
I'm kind of busy in my business, so I kind of want to feel that I can, or that it is effective to just let it go and have those professionals do what they do best and then come back when it's my turn.
Sure. So I want to turn this one into role play, and to speed things up, we're going to make some assumptions. You and I have talked on the phone. We're at the house. We've met. We've discussed your overall situation. One of the things that I start with is a target date in the very beginning of my listing appointment, or even if I'm buying the house. A target date is a great, I etch that in stone, and everything hinges off of that. So
right.
I'll start you with a target date, and then we'll move back through the other services. And I'll just kind of make some assumptions about the conversation as we roll through. What I want you to focus on is when we get rolling in this, then I'll go to the target date and walk the plan back. And the goal here is to have you pick up the listing agreement without me asking. And so far I'm batting 1,000. So, but I'll just kind of show you how I do that. So this would be near the end of, after the home tour in the appointment, before we sign paperwork, whether it's an acquisition or if we're listing the property. So we'll jump right in there. So I will always finish the home tour and go back. I walk out of the room and don't say a word. And if they follow me, that means that I have rapport and they're following my leadership, right?
Correct.
So I try not to sit down. I like to stand. I like to stay parallel or in a semicircle. I don't ever want to be straight across the table. So we're most likely standing in the kitchen at a countertop. That's my favorite place to do these. So, and what was your David, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, David, listen, it's a great house. I mean, tons of potential. We've got a lot of things to talk about because of the personal property and some of the repairs that I did see. But I wanted to start with kind of asking you guys to give me some guidance here. So, in a perfect world, if you could turn this pen into a magic wand and wave it, when would we be shaking hands and finishing this? Like, when would we have closed on the house and be able to distribute money to the family?
Considering everything we need to do, about 2 months, 3 months.
Okay, so we're looking at probably around the beginning of June. So let's just say mid-June. Is that comfortable? June 15th?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in order to do that, I mean, based on everything we've talked about, I think that you guys have, what we find is usually one thing is more important than the other with most families, and it's time or money. And it seems to me that money is probably the most important. You guys are willing to wait to get the maximum amount of equity. Would that be fair?
Yeah. Also, I don't know how long it'll take to do the things that I need to do here to get it ready to sell.
Well, we'll kind of, like I said, we'll help with that. So in order to, to get the maximum amount, we're obviously going to have this as a conventional sale. So we'll go to MLS. That's where we're going to find the buyer that will pay us the highest price. In order to get that done, we should have the home on the market no later than mid-May. So in order to get it done in mid-May, that brings us to the other things we have to talk about. So with the personal property, to do this on your own, you've got quite a hurdle ahead of you. So are you interested in using our estate sales service, or do you think you want to tackle this on your own?
No, I really want to be hands off because there's much else I have to attend to. So yeah.
Okay. So MLS is going to be around the middle of May at the very latest, which means we need to have photography done probably, staging the first week of May, photography shortly after that, which means we have to have the house in broom swept condition, let's say, by the beginning of May. So that gives us about less than a month to get this dealt with. where I'd like to start is I'll first introduce you to Joe. He's our estate sale partner, and Joe will give you a call later this afternoon. Hopefully you can find a time to meet with him in the next couple of days. He's going to walk through, kind of tell you what, place a value on things, make sure that the family has removed or somehow designated what they don't want sold. And then and you can arrange payment with him. Once he's finished, then Mike, our contractor, will come through and we'll have the repair list for him, anything that we know has to be fixed. And you're going to hear from Mike about that probably next week. Once Mike is done, then we'll have Sam. Sam is our stager, and Sam and his team will get in touch with you and make sure they have access to the house. If it's okay with you, we'll just put a combo lockbox on, so you're not always running over here just to let people in. And I'll let you know, these are the people that are on our team we have done business with for quite a while. We trust them, and we hope that you can too. If you can't, we can always be here. But for most families, we put a lockbox on, and we know who's coming in and out, and nothing. We've never had anything bad happen because we have the right people on our team. But once we have the home staged, then you're going to hear from Tim, the photographer. He'll take care of that, and then we'll get it on MLS, and we'll kind of move forward. So starting from mid-June back, the estate sale is kind of the first thing we have to address. So you'll be hearing from him later today. And that brings us back to here. I mean, really, the only thing we really have to determine is if you guys are comfortable, a price that you're comfortable with. And based on everything we've talked about, depending on how much money you're willing to do in repairs, I think we could probably get X in that time frame. Is that a number you're comfortable with?
I am. And how did you know all the names of the people that I use on my team? I'm just kidding.
So that's, and obviously how the conversation went before
I do
that.
hand it out. I just set it up, and the lockbox makes it so I don't have to be the conduit through which everything happens, and I just set it up so that they know that it's a team and we'll take care of it, which I think is the crux of the matter in the first place.
Right. So some tips and tricks. I always put an electronic lockbox on, but I also put a combo box usually on the back door.
Right.
And that, I try to do a one-stop listing appointment, and my goal is to not see that seller again until we're at the closing table. Right. Because the less you're running around town, the more more time you have to do dollar productive activity, right?
Yes.
So I do that, and then the target, start with your target date, and then walk it back to today. And
I have a very short follow-up question then.
Sure.
Estate sale companies, a couple of years ago, I tried to work with them on my own, not through this program, and it was really hard to pin one down that was professional. The characters are kind of, I don't know, just not mainstream characters, I guess.
Yep.
Very original people. Is there a way to vet them that is, and maybe I'll start with an estate company that is, estate sale company that is national, so I kind of know I'm not going to miss the mark, and then have time to find somebody that I know I can work with in the area, because my reputation is important, and I can't find somebody I haven't vetted. Is any online resource good for making sure that the estate sale company is professional and is legit, in quotes?
Sure. So you're right. It's a very, how do I put this nicely, eclectic industry. It's, unlicensed, unregulated, so anyone can call themselves an estate sale company.
Yeah, the other professions are easier. I mean, the photographers, all the rest, contractors, I already know who I'd go with. Estate sale is the hardest. Yeah.
So there is a professional network for, it's like the International Association of Estate Sale Professionals, or if you, on our website, in that search bar, it's been a year and a half ago, if you type in, or if you go to the blog and find our Ask the Expert series, you should be able to find this. But we had the founder of that national organization on, and we interviewed her, and she kind of talked about this, so you can go find that content. But
good.
The best filter I've found to quickly filter them out is go into the directory. So estatesales. And this is plural, estatesales.net.org and .com. And on there, you're going to find that when you go to your area, you'll be able to search by county, zip code, city, But you'll
I
find
just
when you
did,
get,
and I did find some, yes.
yeah, so some of those are going to be featured as like platinum, gold, silver, or bronze. Those are people who are, not only do they look at their business like a business enough that they became part of a national directory, they also saw value in paying that directory money to be ranked higher in the directory. And if it's a good estate sale company, they'll probably have a website, so you can click the link from the directory, land over on their website, look at some of their past and current sales, like what are they selling and how are they approaching their business, and you can tell a lot just by looking at their website. You know, if they're doing $10,000 sales and, you know, they're still using just newspaper advertising, it might not be the right partner for you. But if they have a good website and they have an eBay store where they're selling, you know, stuff on e-commerce as well as local auctions or tag sales, that's a pretty flexible company and probably a good partner. And the fact that they've taken the time to set up a profile in the directory, it's a pretty simple thing, but what you'll find is I'd say 90% of estate sale companies haven't even done that, even though it's, you know, it's free or minimal money. So just, you know, if they're treating their business like a business, they're probably a good partner. The other thing you could look for is, are they a member of the local Chamber of Commerce, Rotary, Better Business Bureau? You know, those are all things that are really simple to do, but not everybody does it. And it doesn't guarantee that they're going to be, you know, this outstanding business owner, but it's a pretty good filter.
Right. Got it.
There was also one that we have dealt with before that we found to be very professional. They're in about 15 states. It's called everythingbutthehouse.com. So if you find a company that's got multiple branches and locations, you know, not necessarily mean they're good, but this particular company was. They have standards and policies, and you know, they have minimum standards that the franchise, it's a franchise organization, that their individual owners have to follow. So a bigger company like that
they have an
sometimes
interesting model. So they're taking the estate sale completely online. So they will show up, write you a check, take it to their warehouse, and then they handle the disposition on their own time.
EBTH.com. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, we have three. We're going to cut the queue off now, so we can finish right at 2 o'clock or right at 3 o'clock. We have three more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 0192. You're up next.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello, how you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for participating. Appreciate it.
No problem. All right, my name is Andrew. I currently reside in Hollywood, Florida, and I'm kind of brand new to the probate side of this. So I just have two questions I would like to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
First question
is it a role play? Can you put it in the form of a role play, or is it just general questions?
I think the question I have, I can kind of put it in a role play because it's mainly.
Okay. Yeah.
The question is, for example, if I meet with someone and, you know, and, for example, they want to check my credibility, how exactly would I go about that situation?
Okay. Are you a subscriber with us?
Not yet.
Okay. One of the best things, there's a couple of things we provide. One is we have a trifold brochure that a lot of folks find a lot of value in, like including that in the mailer. And it's just an opportunity to give them a lot more information in a you know, a small package. But our websites are made to do just what you're looking for. And we try to, we keep the cost as low as possible. It's a custom WordPress site, so we're building the site for $200 and it's $39 a month. And what you'll find is when you get letters in the mail, you should always put a PS. If you're not ready to talk, please check us out here, and give them your URL. What you'll find is a lot of the times when you do that, the people have already gone there and checked you out, and they already have a certain level of trust with you because they saw that you took the time to, just like we were talking about with the estate sale companies, you show that you took the time to aggregate this information and set up a website and put yourself out there and say, here's who I am and why I'm doing this. And so you kind of overcome that before you even speak to most of them with a website. Now, if you don't have a website, then if you don't have a website and you don't have, any experience, you can always pull, you can always pull from the experience in this group. I mean, you can say, you're here on this call, you're participating, you're part of a national group that is, I mean, we are kind of the authority on probate in the real estate industry nationwide. So you can say, listen, I'm part of an industry group that I work with, I'm mentored by and I mentor to people around the country who are helping families in all 50 states. And, if it's something that I haven't dealt with personally, I guarantee somebody in my group has my back and can help me. So you can kind of pull from the collective experience of all of us, and that's one of the things we really pride ourselves on. If you call the main line and you're stuck, we've got 30 people. Someone will step up and help you right there. And unfortunately, it can't always be me available. I'll step up and I'll help you right there. So you can say that with confidence. Like you've got our Facebook group, you've got our whole support team. Like you have a community of people behind you. So if you don't have any experience, use ours. Use some of the stories that you hear here, and that's, but if you're going to get started and do this, if that's a concern of yours, the website will probably remove that concern pretty quickly. You'll find that people will go there and they will read about you, and it gives you more authority before you even talk to them.
Okay. All right. Excellent. We have 3 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 4467. You're up next.
How you doing?
Hey, great.
I'm based out of Connecticut. I have a couple questions if you don't mind.
Sure, Dwayne, if you can, let's try to get it in a role play, but go ahead.
Okay, so the first question is, what's the hardest thing about probate real estate?
Are you an investor? Are you an investor or a realtor or both?
I'm an investor.
I had a feeling you were part of Ty's group that we did the webinar for yesterday, right?
I actually wasn't in that group yesterday. This is actually my first time in a conference call.
Okay, great. So it's good to know what perspective we're coming at it from. But Chad, what's the hardest part of it for an investor?
Well, I want to make sure I understand the question. Are you saying what's the hardest part for the family, or what's the hardest part for the investor?
The hardest part, well, let's go for both sides. What's the hardest part for the seller and also for the investor?
So the hardest part for the investor is, I guess if you're following our system, the hardest part is trusting. For most people, in my experience, the hardest part is trusting what we teach and stepping outside of your comfort zone to offer a broad variety of services versus we buy houses, a single message. And that's what everybody else is doing. So what we teach is a much different approach, but you get a much different result. And what I find, and even if you watch the video that Ty and I did on Monday, I said some things in there that contradicted what he's doing. And he changed. He pivoted. He's like, damn, I realize now old habits are dictating how I approach this, and that's not right. Why reinvent the wheel? So the hardest thing for most investors is, they go straight for the jugular. They pick up the phone and say, hey, calling about 123 Walnut Street. You still got it? You want to sell it? I can make you an offer today. And that's not real effective in probate. If you call enough people, you'll get a deal that way, for sure. But you're not you're going to get a lot more deals if you focus on people and situation, build rapport, and then talk about real estate. So that's probably the hardest thing is just that mindset shift for investors that are so used to just going for go for the real estate. And talking about making it a very you conversation with the seller versus me, like my business, my lenders, my buyers. They don't give a damn about that stuff. They're really stressed out, and they need help, and they want strong leadership, and they have to trust you before they'll follow. So the mindset shift of focusing on people and situation before real estate is probably the toughest thing that I see investors face. However, once they do it, they all come back and they're like, holy crap, I'm going to do this on all my lists, because they realize that empathetic approach works, and it really sets you apart from any other investor in town, because what you're saying sounds a lot different, and it sounds a lot better to your prospect. As far as what the toughest thing for the family is, and there's a million answers to that. It really depends on their personality types. Are they in town, out of town, in state, out of state? Was it a portfolio of rental properties that Dad had that's full of tenants and half of them are in default? I mean, it can be anything. For some people, it's a collection of cars. Others, it's a house full of meaningless junk that's been collected over 60, 70 years. Others, it's a life insurance policy that they're not sure what to do with once it gets into their hands. And so it's to find out what the hardest thing is for the family, you focus on, again, people and situation, and you just ask them. And if you listen to these role plays, you'll see that I try to get as many stories and ask open-ended emotional questions, because the more I can learn about them and what's stressing them out, then they're just drawing me a roadmap. If they're telling me about all their problems, they're also telling me what my solution is. And you just kind of pull it out of them, and ideally in story form and like organic conversation, and then just basically say back to them what you're going to do. You're going to fix, we're worried about the personal property. We're worried about getting them, the house repaired. We're worried about getting the most amount of money. And like from an investor standpoint, usually the people that are highly, highly motivated that will sell for a wholesale price, their biggest problem is they know the house won't pass inspection. They've got extreme financial urgency, like for whatever reason that is, and they don't know where to turn. So you just kind of feel those out and see what their problems are, and then just offer the solution.
Wow, that was an excellent answer.
Awesome.
No, that really was. When we get into when we get into the real estate investment business, we usually think about us, the money, and we want to buy this, we want to buy that, but at the end of the day, we're here for the people who's trying to get rid of their house, and we're trying to solve their problems. So, I didn't really think of it like that. I was thinking about, wow, like, what can I do after I make the deal? I can continue to invest in myself instead of, just focusing on getting to the deal first and try to listen to the customer and their needs. So I thought that was a great answer. Do you have time for one more question?
Sure. We have two more in the queue, but another quick one is fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so what can I expect when closing a probate deal? Like, any complications should I be aware of?
Again, man, they're all thumbprints. Everyone's unique. You will eventually, if you do enough deals, you'll find title issues, IRS liens, reverse mortgages. A really common one that I find in investing is unreleased mortgages. And sometimes you can clear those in a day. It took me like 12 weeks to clear one once because they paid the mortgage off and the lender didn't release the lien on the property. So you have to go back, and the personal representative has to show that they have the authority to have that conversation with the bank, request a release. And banks, a lot of them aren't real motivated to get that done, so it can take some time. That's probably the most common one. It's not really an encumbrance. It's just, it's an administrative task that has to be done before you can move forward. So you'll find things like that. Another common one is family members who, especially in distressed property, like when the family just wants to dump it. Something you'll come across, and you should have a solution for, are basically holdover tenants who are family. So brother has mental issues, has lived in the house for 20 years, doesn't have anywhere to live, but the rest of the family needs to sell the house to move forward. So what do? You can't make brother homeless. So you need to have solutions for that. And that's why I recommend having like a social worker on your team and a moving company and a property management company. So rather than booting brother out on his ass, what if you go to a property management company, get a list of available properties, go to the housing authority or the social worker's office, connect him with HUD so he can get a Section 8 voucher, or connect him with a mental health facility that has Section 8 vouchers already in place. They're just looking for people to allocate them to, and then you go to the family and make them an offer for 60 cents on the dollar. That has a lot more impact than the offer would without the solution for brother, right? So you're going to encounter people situations that you can, by being creative, you're going to outshine every other investor in the market because you're going to focus on people and situation, and then you get the deal. And the the deal and the paychecks are almost, they're the side effect to good service. You know, I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine's becoming a pretty high-level performance coach, and we were talking about this morning. Like, if you focus on people and you focus on providing value, the paychecks always show up. It's just like the rain. Like, if you plant the crops and do the right thing, eventually it's going to rain and they'll grow, right? And where most people get that backwards, they focus on money. That guy's got my money in his pocket. How do I get my money? And those are the people that, honestly, most of them wash out of the business. But when you encounter things like that and you can bring solutions like that, then these deals just line up. You start to attract business. So have solutions for, like, the title issues. You know, it's an easy solution. You're an investor. You probably work with the attorneys in town that have done creative financing. They've done short sales. They've done foreclosures. They've dealt with nasty title issues, and this is no big deal for them. And that's the person you need on your team to really show the family, listen, this is no big deal. We'll get it taken care of. So you'll encounter stuff like that, and you'll uncover some stuff that'll surprise you. If you do this long enough, you'll be like, what in the world have I gotten myself into? Like, yeah. But so it's hard to prepare you for everything because there's really an infinite number of possibilities. But family members needing suitable housing and title issues are probably the two things you're going to deal with the most from an investor standpoint.
Excellent. All that helps.
It's worth saying before we move on, I hope I didn't just scare you to death. It's worth saying I'm talking maybe 1 in 50 deals where you'll actually have those problems. The other 49 will be straightforward. Write the contract, close it up, move on.
Absolutely. We're going to go a little bit over, guys. We'll probably go 5 or 10 minutes overtime on this call. The next up is phone number ending in 9596. You're up next.
Hey, Chad, Manny Martinez here. I wanted you to repeat. I wanted you to repeat the name of the organization that does the estate sales. Where you can, I missed the name when you were answering a previous question.
Everything but the house?
No. The interview that you had done. It's an association.
So, sorry, I'm going to cheat and ask Googs because I can't remember the exact title. It's a national...
Yeah, I remember the lady. She was on a call. You could probably even put in our search bar estate sales to find it. Got it?
The American Society of Estate Liquidators. So ASELonline.com is the domain.
Sorry, what? I'm sorry. ASEL.
ASEL online.com.
Online.com. Okay. The question I had, thank you for repeating that. The question I had is accountants. So I've been looking for an accountant that specializes in filing taxes for states. And is there a certification for accountants or something that identifies them as specialists in that area, or that this is an area that they handle?
So I would recommend a referral from either a registered investment advisor or a family law attorney. Those are people that normally help for the small percentage of Americans that do set up a trust and an estate plan and have that end-of-life plan. They're dealing with family law attorneys, and oftentimes I have a lot more trust for registered investment advisors, which is just a financial advisor with a higher standard. But I would look for a direct referral from one of those smaller firms because typically they're going to have a CPA that they work with. They're going to have a family law attorney they work with, and they kind of work together as a team already. And if you can step into that team, then you've killed 3 birds with 1 stone, right?
You got it. Yep, makes sense. Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Excellent. Last up this week is phone number ending in 8343. You're up last.
Hello, guys, and thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I actually want to try out a script. I'm new to your program, and the script I have is in terms of speaking with the attorney to try and get a referral coming from that attorney to the executor.
So you want to call Chad and be the agent. You're a brave man. Go ahead, and then
Right.
he can he can reverse
So
it if need be.
Right.
I just want to be
So
clear.
I'm the
Are we doing
agent,
this?
and Chad would be the lawyer or attorney, I guess,
Are we on the phone or are we in person?
on the phone.
Okay.
Got it.
So we'll
Go right
pretend
ahead.
you got past the gatekeeper already, because you're the first thing you got to do is get past the gatekeeper. So we'll skip that. Skip that.
So, hello, is this Chad?
This is Chad.
No,
Who
I'm sorry.
speaking with?
Let me start up again. I'm sorry. Hello, this is Jose. Is Chad available?
Oh, so you do want to do the gatekeeper part?
Right.
Okay. He's in an appointment right now. How can I help you?
Well, thanks for taking the call. The reason for the call is I'm a local real estate agent, and I was calling about a petition for probate. Would Chad have a quick minute just to answer one or two quick questions?
I may be able to help you. What's the docket number?
Okay. The docket number is 12345, and it was recently filed for the estate of Jane Smith. It showed that the attorney for the estate is Chad Smith. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, that's our case.
Excellent. And the reason I'm calling is because there's a property located at 123 Main Street in the city of Miami that is part of the estate. Is this property for sale, or do you know if they have any interest or plans to sell the property?
I'm not sure. Chad's working with that family. I mean, typically the family makes that decision, not us. We do have real estate agents that we work with, but it's not really up to us. We let, the personal representative will choose who they're working with.
Got it. So are you waiting, you think, for the court hearing before making a decision in regards to the sale of the property?
Well, like I said, it's ultimately up to the family. So obviously they have been appointed and they have the authority. I'm not sure beyond that where they are in the process. We set them up and make sure they know what needs to be done, and then they make a lot of those decisions on their own. And once it's under contract, then obviously we'll present that to the court.
Understood. So let me give you my personal contact info. So if anything changes and you decide to sell the property, you can contact me directly. Is that fair enough?
Fair enough. And we'll break script there.
All
So
right.
you want me to go easy on you or tell you the truth?
Hey, let me have it because I just rolled it out there,
All right. Your approach is common but weak. And you need to drop your title. Don't introduce yourself to an attorney as a realtor, because that comes with a certain perception, and you're trying to paint a different picture. You are a probate expert, a probate specialist, or you have built a team of people here locally to help families going through probate, and you can say something like, "Hey, this is Chad. I have a team of folks here locally that help families in the probate process. Essentially everything that you guys don't do in your office, we provide as a comprehensive service. And as part of that, we go to the courthouse every 30 days and we reach out to the families. But I keep noticing Attorney John Doe, is you guys handle a lot of files. And it seems like, you guys are the authority in town. So I just really wanted to introduce myself and let you know that we're here to help you and the family with everything non-legal. And our goal is really to partner with attorneys to try to make this a more efficient process and always have the family's best interest first. Is John in today?
That's really good.
Take an approach like that. So get rid of the realtor title, because you don't want the reputation of the last guy that fell on his face trying this, right? And the good news is there's not many people trying this, so it's really easy to do. The other thing I would say, well, let's just say for your first 5, don't use the phone. Get in the car, because this is at least 10 times easier in person than it is on the phone. And most people, I get the call, like when people get out there and do this the first time, I get a call or an email almost immediately when they get back to their office. They're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I got a list. And they're just shocked that the attorney actually bit on that message. And what you're trying to show them is, think of it as kind of a pie chart. 25% of that pie chart is one color. That's the legal aspect of probate. 75% is another color, and that's all the weight that's on the personal representative's shoulder. Now, they have their own family, but they probably don't know much about probate either. So a lot of those questions and a lot of those concerns are coming up to the probate attorney, which creates redundancy in their business. So if you can show them a way that you can take that redundancy away and you can shoulder that responsibility of helping the family with everything non-legal, they're impressed, period. So
I got to tell you, Ted, you're spot on. I recently lost my father about 2 months ago, and luckily we had transferred a lot of these things out of his name, so we didn't have an issue. And, my mother, she was extremely confused, and even though a lot of the things were handled, but I think you're spot on with, the like you said, I'm here to help, and I have resources, and I think you're right, 100%. I mean,
so we know why you're here, because you understand the empathy now, right? Like you felt it, you went through it. Use that story, man. Like it's like when you're meeting with an attorney, something along the lines of I'm sure you're clear on your why, or you wouldn't be here, but use that to your advantage. So step up and say, listen, I had a real perspective shift a couple of months ago when I lost my father. And even being a real estate professional, I saw how hard it was on my family. And I've made a commitment to raise the bar in 2019, and I intend to help as many families as I can. I notice your firm is dealing with X number of people per month, and I just really thought that John Doe and I should know each other, because I intend to be serving the same clients you are, and I consider you guys part of my team. You just don't know it yet. Would John be available to grab a cup of coffee? And go in there with that confidence. You have it, right?
Okay.
Like you're here, you're doing this for the right reason. Use that to your advantage.
Right.
And this is like I was talking to an investor earlier, but it's a mindset shift. It's different than what we're used to doing. It's different than what every other coach says. It's different than what YouTube channels say, but it's authentic. Like when you go in and say something like that, you get their attention because they haven't heard that before, and they're listening.
Exactly.
All right. Hopefully that helps. Get out there face to face. The agents that do it, and even the investors, agents and investors that get out there face to face. I mean, it's rare that they meet with 3, 4, 5 attorneys. We've got a guy in California that has a route every week. He just goes out and sees 5 a week, and it's rare that he does that he doesn't establish at least 1 or 2 good relationships. So give that a try, and it's almost always more effective than the phone with attorneys.
So before we move on, Jim, so I gave him some tough love. Kudos to you for stepping up and doing that in front of everybody. Like that takes courage, and you'll do great at this. And I was tough on you. I don't want that to like. Everybody listening, don't be afraid to step up. Like I asked for his permission to tell him the truth. But so anyways, kudos to you for stepping up and being willing to do that. You'll do really well with this.
I mean, the fear is gone, seeing it live happening. So, I generally want to help people. I mean, I could see how, people can, be in a tailspin if things aren't handled, ahead of time. And it's something that, is really helpful.
Excellent. Great way to end the call today, guys. Thank you, everybody. We had nearly 100 people, and 90% of you are still here. So thank you so much for staying till the end. I always end these calls the same way. We had some great role plays. We had some great stories, ideas. Take one thing you learned on the call today. Go out and put it into practice, and come back every Thursday and share it with the group. And just a reminder, less than 24 hours, tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, we have our regular role play call. Thanks so much for being here, and we will talk to you soon on the Thursday call. Take care, guys. Make it a great day. Talk to you soon.